You know when you're watching a sci-fi movie and you see those incredible futuristic interfaces and you think, wow, I wish I could design that. Well, guess what? That job isn't science fiction anymore. It's a real job right now. And today, we're going to break down exactly how you can design the holographic user interfaces that are literally leaping off the movie screen and into our world. Let's dive in.
So this journey from fantasy to reality, it has happened incredibly fast. For so long, these holographic UIs were just, cool stuff for the movies, pure eye candy. But then the hardware shifted in 2024, and all of a sudden these interfaces became an actual necessity. And now today, designers are using generative AI to brainstorm and create these spatial UIs faster than anyone ever thought possible. What was once a dream is now a real design discipline.
So here's our game plan for today. First, we'll bridge that gap between sci-fi and the real world. Then, we're going to tackle the brand new design problems that pop up when you're working in 3D space. After that, we'll get super practical with AI prompts for brainstorming, cover the 3 essential rules for making holograms that actually work, and finally, I'll show you how to take those concepts and turn them into real creations.
Okay, first up, let's talk about the Hollywood to hardware pipeline. See, to build the future, we first have to understand why the interfaces we see in the movies, as amazing as they look, are often fundamentally broken for real-world use.
In this quote, man, it just hits the nail on the head. Movie interfaces are designed to look impressive, complex, basically to look busy. But in the real world, an interface that's just throwing information at you is an interface that's failed. For actual AR design, your #1 job is managing cognitive load, making sure you don't overwhelm the user.
Let's really break this down. On the left, you've got your fictional user interface, or FUI. It's all about looking cool. On the right, you have functional AR UI. So we're moving from interfaces that just look complex to ones that you can actually read. We're going from pure eye candy to elements that are physically anchored to the world around you. It's a huge shift.
Okay, so now let's get into the fun stuff, the new design problems that come with this shift. And hey, if you're coming from a background in web or mobile design, get ready, because the old rules, they just get thrown right out the window when your canvas is literally the real world. This is probably the first question every single new spatial designer asks themselves. You've made this beautiful, glowing, transparent piece of text, right? You put it out there in the world, and the second it floats in front of a window or a white wall, poof, it's just gone. So what on earth is happening here?
It's something we call the contrast crisis. Your design isn't on a nice, clean, predictable background anymore. Nope, it's slapped on top of the messy, chaotic, ever-changing real world. And without some kind of solid backing, those transparent elements just don't have enough contrast to stay visible everywhere.
And here is the second massive headache you're going to run into. You've laid out your buttons, they look perfect, but when someone actually tries to use them, they keep missing or accidentally pressing the button behind the one they wanted. Why is touching things that are just floating in the air so tricky?
This is the depth of field failure. See, our brains are wired to judge distance using physical cues. When everything is just a hologram floating in space, it becomes incredibly difficult to figure out the depth, or the z-axis. That's the fancy way of saying how far away something is. A user literally can't tell if that confirm button is in front of the data panel or behind it.
Okay, enough problems. Let's start talking about solutions. How do we even begin to imagine what these complex interfaces should look like? Well, the answer is generative AI. It's literally the most powerful mood board ever created, letting you spitball and iterate on amazing ideas in a matter of seconds. And the best part? The formula for a killer prompt is shockingly simple. You do not need to be some kind of prompt engineer. Just follow these 3 easy steps. First, just say what you want and where it is. Second, describe the style and how it's lit. And third, toss in your technical details. That is it. And here is that exact formula in action. This is a real, high-quality prompt you can literally copy and paste right now. See how it's structured? It starts with the subject, the futuristic AI interface in a command room. Then it moves to all those cool styling details like translucent dark glass and glowing cyan edges. And it just finishes with the technical bit at the end. This gives the AI everything it needs to give you back a stunning and, more importantly, a relevant concept.
So, you've used AI to generate some absolutely amazing concepts. Now what? How do you make them functional? Well, it all boils down to 3 fundamental rules for making your holographic designs not just beautiful, but truly usable. All right, rule number 1. This one directly solves that contrast crisis we were just talking about. It's the contrast and occlusion rule. The bottom line is, your text and UI elements can't just float around freely. They need to be anchored on something. And the best way to do that is with dark, translucent panels. Think of them like spatial glass that heavily blur the real world behind them. That blurring effect is called occlusion, and it's the secret to guaranteeing readability no matter what's behind it.
Rule 2 is all about designing for depth, and this one directly solves our depth perception problem. The key is to think in really distinct layers. We'll start at the very back, the physical world itself. Now, using what we just learned in Rule 1, this layer should always be blurred out to create a sense of distance.
Then, sitting on top of that blurred-out world, you place your middle layer. This is where your content goes. All your data, your text panels, your core information, it all lives here, sitting comfortably between the real world and the user.
And finally, the most important layer of all, the front layer. This layer is exclusively for your interactive elements, your buttons, your sliders, any controls. By always putting them closest to the user, you completely eliminate any confusion about what's clickable. This super simple layering trick, it solves the depth of field failure, period.
And rule 3, it's all about color. First things first, dark mode is not a suggestion, it's mandatory. Seriously, a bright white UI being projected directly into your eyes is just blinding. It's a recipe for a massive headache. So you start with a base of blacks and grays, then use these vibrant neon accents like cyan or magenta to draw the user's eye to key information. And this is crucial, use glowing hover states so people know instantly when something is interactive. Okay, we have our concept and we know the rules. We're at the final step. How do we turn that amazing AI-generated image into a real prototype using a tool we probably already know and love, like Figma? So here's the reality check. Midjourney gives you a beautiful, flat image, a JPEG. It does not give you a file with layers and vectors and interactive components. The designer's job, your job, is to deconstruct that image and rebuild it so it actually works. But here's the good news. You can totally recreate that AI look with tools you already use every day. You can use inner shadows with a bright neon color to create those awesome glowing edges. You can apply a layer blur to make that spatial glass effect we talked about. Linear gradients are perfect for faking that holographic sheen. It's all about translating a visual idea into practical, real-world design techniques. And just like that, you've gone from being a sci-fi fan to a full-on spatial computing designer. You get the problems, you have a method for coming up with ideas, and you know the fundamental rules to make your designs actually work in the real world. This isn't just a new skill you've learned, it's like you've unlocked a new creative superpower. For the first time in history, the tools we have only ever seen in movies are not on a movie screen. They are in our hands, right now. The barrier between our imagination and what we can create has never, ever been lower. So the real question isn't, can we build it anymore? The question is, what will you build with it?